answers to the questions that we pose to him. So we will do our best to try to convey that to you.
RJ got the idea for a bridge club or a bridge background as an overarching theme for his new mystery series because most cozy mystery writers do have such overarching themes these days to connect their novel. They may not be sequels exactly, but they're continuing characters who deal with the same type of predicament. Bridge has not been overly used, though his editor found it refreshing and different. For example, Joanne Fluke, also a Kensington mystery writer, connects her novels to baking, and some of her works have been made into film. Bridge hasn't been overly used, so the editor found it refreshing and different.
I have to honestly say this is the first bridge mystery I've ever read.
I don't think I've ever read one. I mean, they've played bridge in books. It hasn't been the theme of the story.
Robert did a great deal of research on poisons online and in various journals before choosing potassium cyanide to off the 4 gin girls. It was white and powdery and not only would blend into a sugar bowl easily, but it was fast-acting and he needed to kill off all 4 ladies at once. And he felt very villainous doing so, by the way.
Oh, that was actually kind of a comical moment in the book for as only cozies can do.
This is true. It was comical when it needed to be and not so comical when it didn't need to be.
Robert's father's experience as a writer of pulp fiction in New York in the late 40s helped him immensely. He was smart enough to go to him as an adult after college graduation and ask to critique his work. So he began writing short stories, novellas, and novels for him to learn a technique and other pointers like percentage of dialogue to narrative. Talent can't be taught, but there are guidelines which can save a beginner a lot of time and stress. His writing became his own because his father's writing was primarily about fighter pilot victories in World War II. He also did some detective stories, but they were never more than 30,000 words long. Today, Robert is writing cozy mysteries between 90 and 100,000 words long, and the genre is completely different than it was in the 40s.
I would say it would have to be. He considers himself a Southern writer because except for 1 year in Frankfurt, Germany, he's lived his whole life either in Mississippi or Louisiana. He writes what he knows, and what he knows is the Deep South, with all its complexities, both tortured and illuminated by its checkered past. The South is the only part of the U.S. that has been occupied by a foreign army. The Union occupied the Confederacy during Reconstruction. That kind of history creates all kinds of drama, both negative and positive.
Robert can truthfully say that his characters are indeed both archetypically Southern and millennium updates. There has been progress made in the South since the turbulent 60s and the shank of the civil rights movement. He remembers Jim Crow and what it meant for Black people and can see both surface changes and deeper social changes. The entire country has by no means solved the problems created by slavery and segregation, but there are people who are aggressively trying to address these effects. The plot of Grand Slam Murders probes latent racism by putting at risk a domestic servant who finds herself taking the blame for a crime she didn't commit just because she is Black. The issue of white privilege is also real, and he tried to tackle it in Grand Slam Murders.
Robert's protagonist, Wendy Winchester, does encounter sexism and misogyny in Grand Slam Murders, even though she enjoys white privilege. However, this eases up quite a bit as the series progresses. In the second novel, her curmudgeon of a male editor is replaced by a modern career woman with whom Wendy gets along splendidly. Rosalie also experiences additional changes in that a woman starts running the Rosalie Country Club, and she then hires the first female pro at the club. I do reflect millennium changes as the series progresses. Well, good for Robert. That's great. I'm glad to see he's including more women since he's writing about a woman protagonist. It would have been easy just to surround her with a cast of men, especially since he killed off 4 of them in the first book.
That's true. But they were old school women.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd get rid of the old guys. A second novel in his Bridge to Death mystery series called Playing the Devil will be released on January 28, 2020, and Robert will begin the book tour for that novel over the following 4 or 5 months. Meanwhile, he has upcoming for Grand Slam Murders He has an appearance at the Trenton, Tennessee Book Club in Trento on October 7th, 23rd, and 24th, and appearances at Bouchercon in Dallas on October 31st, November 1st, and 2nd. He has an appearance at the Kentucky Book Fair in Lexington on November 16th. You can find more about Robert, the author of Grand Slam Murders, on the Kensington.com mystery publisher site.
Well, I really like this book.
All these deep, dark mysteries we're reading, this was
Breath
just
of Sunshine.
Yeah, this was just a fun mystery. I don't think there was a character I didn't like in these books, other than the women that were killed, and we're not going to have to deal with them anymore.
He dealt with some pretty deep topics, like the maid who was black and she was being accused just because she was black, and the misogyny where Wendy's editor was he wasn't a real jerk to her, but he was stuck in, he was,
a good word.
Yeah, and he was stuck in the old ways of doing things. But he didn't do them in such a heavy way. You didn't get bogged down in all those pretty heavy topics.
He did a good job with the cozy. And I think sometimes that must be a challenge to be able to include some of these deeper topics and still maintain.
Most cozies are very light, just a little touch of murder here and there.
Yeah, we've talked to other authors who have said that it is a challenge to write these. You can't have gratuitous violence.
4 people dropping dead. That's not gratuitous. That's downright.
They just poisoned and they died with their cards in their hands.
So I think he did a great job, and I look forward to reading the next in the series.
I will definitely read the second one. They were quick reads. Well, this was a quick read. Very enjoyable.
And you don't have to know anything about bridge to read the books.
Actually, I think I learned a few things.
I think so, too. I have never played bridge, so I know nothing about it, and that didn't hold back my enjoyment of this series at all.
It doesn't make me want to learn how to play bridge either.
No.
I grew up in a family that played bridge constantly. I never wanted to learn to play, and this book didn't make me
want to. It was a
learn.
very popular thing, like back in the 50s.
Oh, yes. They had bridge parties every week, or went to a bridge party. Mom and Dad did. I wasn't interested.
My parents played pinochle, and I don't know how to play that either.
Bridge takes a lot of concentration, and there's a lot of teamwork that has to go on.
It looks like from the book, there's a lot of rules.
Oh, yeah.
So whether you like bridge or not, this is a fun read, and we definitely recommend it.
Well, let's talk about Hala Reed.
It's getting closer, ladies.
It's October 25th and 26th, the end of this month. If you haven't already, get your ticket. Go to halareed.com, use our code, Dark and Stormy, and receive 15% off your admission.
We're looking forward to meeting all these authors. Of course, it's geared towards Halloween, so it's not necessarily a mystery, but it's spooky, and we are going to enjoy that. Some of these authors moonlight as mystery writers as well, so we're going to interview a few of them. We will have that episode just before the book festival, so look out for that episode.
So if you're on the fence about buying tickets, maybe hearing some of these authors who will be attending will entice you to purchase a ticket.
And Ellicott City is a beautiful historic town in Maryland.
It did not float away in floods years ago.
Well, it had 2 really major floods. If you want to, help out this community get back on its feet after 2 very devastating floods, I'm sure appreciated by the town. Also, don't forget to go to itwasadarkandstormybookclub.com. You can click on any of our episodes to catch up on every episode we've done. We've done 81 now. I can't believe we've gotten so far.
We don't look a day over 70.
So you have access to all of those on our website, and there's our email address. You can email us. Also, you can sign up for our newsletter. Our October newsletter just came out, but you can sign up for the newsletter. It comes out once a month. We won't slam your inbox, and we give you highlights of what's coming up for any particular month. And also, we have announced in the newsletter about our short story section that will be included in January of 2020. And we are looking for submissions for that now.
You do not have to be a published author, but if you ever wanted to write a story and have it published, why don't you send it to us and we'll put it out there, and we may put it in our newsletter and you can be a published author.
We will include a story once a month, so that's 12 chances for you to get your story in our newsletter for the next year.
A lot of publishers subscribe to our newsletter, so they may spot you and they may want to contact you and get you out into the publishing world.
Absolutely.
Yes. So those beginners out there have always wanted to write a story. Be sure and have it in by the first week of December so that it can be
for our January newsletter.
For the January newsletter.
So go to the website and you can click on our email, and you can email us about anything. We're happy to hear from our readers. If you are submitting a short story, be sure to put that in your subject line. Short story submission, so we can spot it.
And don't forget our Patreon. We have decided that we will be entering any new patrons into a giveaway for 5 assorted books that will be awarded once a month, every month.
Every month.
You get a chance.
I don't think our listeners know that for every episode we put out, it's over 12 hours of editing time and work and research to get these episodes done.
Not that we don't love it. We absolutely do.
But we would appreciate any help we can get. It gets expensive out here under this blanket. We'd like to be able to get out from under it.
Okay. All right. No. Carbon monoxide poisoning.
That brings us to the end of another episode. Hope you'll join us next time. And remember,
life would be boring without a little mystery. Bye.
Bye.